Kathryn Jones, welcome to the Marketing That Works podcast. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I'm actually doing great.
You have got to have a lot of energy for what you're doing today because you are on quite the press tour right now.
Yeah, but so fun. Yeah, I'm on day 2 of like 3.5 of press tour. I got about 50 shows that I'm going to be on over the course of the whole thing. But can I tell you what? A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's exhausting," but I think it's fun. I think it's like I get to meet like amazing and hang out with epic people like you, and so it is like it's crazy, and it's like I got my protein bar, I got my water bottle. We're going for sustenance there, but
Yes.
oh my gosh, I couldn't be more thrilled to be
So,
hanging out with you.
which is, yes, and I'm so happy to have you here, and I know you're back to back with interviews, which is awesome. So tell everybody what it is the press tour is about, because it's exciting. I signed up last night, which is going to be my next question, because I funnel hacked a little bit, and I want to ask some questions. But what are you promoting right now so people can get in on it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll yes, Down and Dirty next week. So starting on Monday, August 10th. But if you ever listen to this later, it will be evergreen too, so you can come hang out with us. But we're doing a 5-day workshop all about how to launch a 7-figure movement or become the number one go-to expert in your niche. And the way this actually starts, can I give you like the quick 3-minute backstory of this?
Absolutely.
How it came to be? So I feel really grateful. A lot of people ask me to be on their podcasts all the time. I got really good at designing funnels that convert. And
Yes.
when you can make people money, they pay you a lot of money and they know who you are. So that's kind of how, if you have no idea who I am, that's how it came to be. So people will ask me to be on their shows all the time, which I'm so grateful for, but it kind of got a little bit crazy. So we started doing these big press tours, right? Kind of like we're doing now. And one of the questions that kept coming up over and over again was, who are you? Like I had no idea. I never even heard of you 6 months ago, and now you're everywhere, right? Like, who are you? And that question literally starts from if you go back to 2015, that's really where it starts. I was about a year into my entrepreneurial journey, and I think I would consider myself an entrepreneur. Question mark, right?
Right.
I think a lot of people are there with I don't know, I'm watching webinars and I make a few $100 here and there, but what am I doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like it's important. And I go see this movie with my family. It's called Joy. Have you seen the movie Joy before?
I haven't.
Oh shoot. Okay, listen, I know you're busy taking over the world, VP of Marketing at Bristol, but we gotta put this on the list. Okay, it's called Joy, and it's about this woman named Joy Mangano, true story. And she's the woman that invented the self-wringing mop. Okay. And as you start to watch this movie, you're like, can a girl just make a mop? Everything just gets thrown at her. It's crazy. Her patent gets stolen and her family screws her over, and she has to double mortgage her house. And then you think everything's gonna be great. She finally gets on QVC, and then it just bombs, and it's just oh my gosh, again, can this girl just make a mop? And as she's going through this struggle, I'm feeling similarly, right? Where it's just I'm trying to do this entrepreneur thing, but I don't know what it is, but there's something inside that's got to get out. And I'm just resonating so much with the struggle of this woman. And it gets to the climax of this movie, where it's at the very end. And again, this man is trying to steal her patent, and she's going to go meet him. And based on what happens in this meeting will determine just the trajectory of the rest of her life. And Drew, it is so stressful. It is just so stressful. And again, I am so wrapped up in this story that I don't even realize I'm in a public movie theater, right? And I yell out as she's about to walk into the meeting. I'm in the theater. Again, I'm not embarrassed, but I'm not proud. Somewhere in the middle of what happens next, right? Where all of a sudden I'm come on, you can do it. I yell that in the movie theater. I'm sitting next to my sister. She's mortified, right? She takes her hand, covers my mouth. She's what is wrong with you? I was I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm feeling a lot of feelings. I don't know. Right? But that happens in 2015. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, where they're just I have this movement, I have this thing inside of me. And maybe a lot of you know what it is, and maybe some of you don't, but you're just this need to contribute and create. Now, fast forward to 2019, April or May, 4 years down the road, I had launched my flagship program. We had about 100 or 200 people in it. It was called CF Design School. Again, showing people how to design funnels that convert. And the people in there were killing it, getting such good results. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't taking off. It was we're just trying to get this thing going. And I find myself in this May 2019, sitting in this huge internet marketing conference. There's 2,000 people in the crowd. I'm sitting in the middle back, right? Nobody knows my name. Hardly anybody knows my product. and I'm watching one of my biggest competitors on stage. And the thing that is like such a bummer about this competitor is that they're just so cool. Like you can't even be mad at, you can't even hate them, you know? Like
Right.
they're actually cool and they're amazing. They're so smart and they deserve to be on the stage. Like they're phenomenal. Like to this day, I don't have a single bad thing I can say about them. They're phenomenal, right? So they're on the stage and they have decades of more experience than me. They push millions of more dollars, way more of a following. They're dropping their product name right and left and people are eating it up. They're backed by $1 billion company. And there I am in the back. It's me and another Filipino girl on my team who works 10 hours a week. That was my only people on my team. And I'm like kind of running out of money, right? It's like, I got to figure out how to make this thing work or it's not going to last that much longer. And I'm sitting in the back, Drew, and I'm watching this person on stage, and their business just seems like this machine, right? Just this well-oiled machine. And so in the back, I'm just thinking, I'm like, I'm screwed. Like, what? How? What?
Right.
How?
Yeah.
And this thought just keeps going through my head, like, how do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? And like, I'm having this inner dialogue with myself. I'm like, I have no idea how to beat a machine. Are you kidding me? I don't know. How do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? And then I think the only thing I can attribute this to is God, because I think what happened next was way too smart to ever come from my mind. Then I'm thinking, how do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? And then the thought comes to me so clearly, and it's this. It's you beat a machine with a movement. And I was like, that felt smart. I don't really know what it is. I like write it down. I'm like, okay, how do you beat a machine? You beat a machine with a movement. So I'm like, you beat a machine with a movement? Like, what does that mean? All of a sudden I have all these examples just floating through my head, right? Where it's like civil rights movement, Martin Luther King,
Right.
I Have a Dream. You have the bus boycott with Rosa Parks, where hundreds of thousands of African Americans decided to not go on the bus, which that is one of the coolest stories ever, right?
Yes.
You have Gandhi and the hunger strike. You have everything that happened with the Berlin Wall. You have the Boston Tea Party, right? Like all these movements that like figuratively took down these machines, these huge ideologies or governments or all these different things. And so I'm starting to think like, what is the common thread? Like what's happening in those movements, right? That allowed them to take down these machines. And all of a sudden I realized the biggest denominator of them all is that it was a mass of people that were all living the same story. A mass of people all living the same story. And as this becomes clear to me, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, Kathryn, God bless you, you're an idiot. Right? And I start to look at what I'm doing with funnels, and literally the definition of what I'm teaching in funnels with design hacking is how to present stories that convert. We just figured out how to do a story simply being an exchange of information, convert meaning to change from one form to another. So from a random website peruser to a subscriber, and a subscriber to a buyer, and a buyer to a hyper buyer, and a hyper buyer to this like evangelist for your brand. And got crazy good at that on funnels. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, could we just apply that to other mediums? Like, is there a formulaic, systematic way to present stories that convert on a video and on a Facebook Live,
right,
and on a podcast and on stage and in copy? And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know, but maybe, right?
Right.
So I left that meeting, and what I did is I wrote down in my notebook, I wrote down hashtag Operation Smoke 'em Out. Where I decided that I was going to be so strategically loud and intentional with the stories that I was telling that people wouldn't even be able to hear my competitors. I couldn't bash them. There's nothing I can say. I can't throw rocks at them. They're amazing. I have nothing bad to say about them. They're amazing, right? But like, I can smoke them out. And so I came back and we design hacked everything. We storified everything we were doing. So we took our boring online course, right, and turned it into a story. We attached a graduation at the back end of it. So all of a sudden people are living a story arc, right?
I've seen that. You give the certificates out, right?
Yes, it's amazing. And all of a sudden, like, nobody would partner with us at all for joint ventures, right? We turned it into a cool campaign. All of a sudden they're like, wait, this is a cool story I want to be a part of. And so not only would they partner with us, they push it like crazy. So we're having regular 6-figure launches. Dream 100, trying to get the attention of people. Nobody would look at us. We start a cool campaign and story. And now all of a sudden they're reaching out to us and saying, hey, what are you doing? Can I be a part of it? Right? And we just start to do that. And within a span of 6 months, I go from sitting in the back of the crowd to being asked to speak on some of the biggest internet marketing stages in the world, nobody partnering with us, to regular 6-figure launches, nobody knowing our name, to partnering, literally having mentors become peers and clients, right? And going from struggling, lacking money, to now having a 7-figure movement. And you look at what happened, and it's almost annoying. It's almost annoying what happened because you're like, oh, like if somebody would have told 2015 Kathryn this, who's yelling at the movie screen theater what it was, right? But the answer is we started to turn everything into a story. And I think one of the most beautiful things is when you know how to design hack, when you know how to present stories that convert, and this was the craziest insight that came from all of this, is that when you know how to do that, then all of a sudden your stories become your customer stories. And when your stories become your customer stories, then your solutions become their solutions, which means that your competitor might still be on stage somewhere, but they're not going to go to them. And they're not going to go to them because they're like, they don't get me. Right. Drew's story is my story. Drew's my guy. And so they might be amazing. They might have decades more experience, but they don't understand me like Drew gets me.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, not only do people start to praise your name, but they become evangelists for your brand. And so again, this movement starts to form where all of a sudden we're all living the same story. My story is their story. My solution is their solution. And so like going back, like this press tours, right? People are like, who were you 6 months ago? Like, where do you come from? Like, blah, blah, or here, I didn't even know about you. So I start to tell my team, I'm like, because it's very intentional what we're doing on the back end, but we had never taught it, right? We're just like doing it and we'll do it for our top high-end clients, but that was kind of it. And they're like, let's turn it into a coaching program. Like, let's do all this stuff. And they're getting really excited and doing all these things. And I'm kind of being quiet. And they're like, wait, Kathryn, like you're in for this, right? Like, this is awesome. And I'm like, guys, I don't think I can do it. And they're like, no, but like, listen, it'll be awesome. Like this. And I'm like, guys, I can't do a coaching program, not like this. And they're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, and they're like, why not? And I said, well, I can't charge for it. And at that point, I think they thought I had an aneurysm, right? Because I'm like a marketer. Right. They're like, I'm sorry, what? You can't charge for this? I'm like, I can't do it, guys, in my soul. And they're like, why not? Like, why not? And I was like, I think 2 reasons. I was like, number one, for baby Kathryn. For baby Kathryn yelling at the movie screen that just had this beast that had to get out of her. And had she known in 2015 what she knows now in 2020, everything would have been different. This movement would have had wheels so much sooner. I was like, so for baby, and I just couldn't have afforded what it was worth, honestly, in 2015.
Right.
And I said, and number 2, I think one of the most beautiful things about design hacking, when you know how to present stories that convert, it gives good people and good causes and good products the wheels to actually go. Right. So many people that come to us, they're like, oh, like, it's just not working. And they're not an idiot and their product's incredible. They're just strategies away. There's tactics away, right? And I think if there were ever a time, #2020, that the world needed to be infused with good people and good movements and good causes and good products.
Amen, sister.
It's now. So I was like, guys, sorry, I think we have to do this for free. And God bless them, they eventually came around. They were like, you're crazy, but okay.
I love it. Yeah.
So that's what's happening next week. We're doing this huge 5-day workshop of what does it look like to actually launch a 7-figure movement? What does it look like to become the number 1 go-to expert in your niche? Which is really fun. It means you get paid like number 1, your competitors become irrelevant, and you build a tribe of evangelistic followers. So awesome. If you guys want to come hang out with us next week, come on down. Price is right. $0.
That's right.
$0. Right.
Who doesn't love free? Where can people sign up for that? Because I signed up yesterday. But
yes, designhacking.com/workshop. If you go there, we'll get you all set up on the back end. We'll get you all set up for where everything's going to go live. But I think there's three people that should go to this. One, if you have any version of you that's yelling in a public movie theater, where you're just like, you're almost frustrated with yourself, right? It's like, just do it already, right? I think second is if you have a message or something inside of you that you're like, this needs to be a movement, I'm going to show you how. Or if you're simply interested in becoming number 1, which means you get paid like number 1 and your competitors go away and you build a tribe, all those things are going to be answered. And I'm going to literally show you. If you guys, I don't know if this is going to be audio or visual, but if you guys can see, like, my books are color coordinated, right? Like, yes. I'm a little bit self-diagnosed OCD, which is a blessing and a curse, but I think a blessing for most of my clients and students because I'm very formulaic, right? Like, I'm going to lay down the actual steps of what it looks like for you to get there. So yeah, come hang out with Drew and I. It's going to be amazing. That's right.
I'll be there. And Kathryn, I want to say, like, one of my main questions today was going to be, what do you think marketing that works is? But you beautifully articulated that within the story of it's stories. It's stories that move people emotionally to take action. And so I don't even think we don't need to ask that question. So I'm going to go, if we can, because I know we've got a short time together. I want to transition to something, but I do want to encourage everybody, go sign up for that, be a part of it. It's fun to be part of Kathryn's tribe and group and people who are a part of it. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great learning. So I want to encourage everybody, because this is going to come out just a few days beforehand. But again, you'll be able to, if you listen to this in the future, to sign up on Kathryn's website. But Kathryn, I want to ask a tactical question.
Of course.
I funnel hacked you a little bit with and of course, for those that don't understand that, that's just simply looking into the process. Us marketing nerds like to look at every process and understand how it's working and how it's converting and the steps and the flow and everything like that. And part of Kathryn's funnel for this was an interesting second step. So it was reserve your spot. Then there was a second step that said to really reserve your spot or to really RSVP, almost like a deeper intent level. It took me to a Facebook Messenger bot to follow a flow. Why did you guys do that, and where did you get that idea from?
Oh my gosh. Okay, such a good question. And this was very intentional.
Okay.
One, what order do I want to tell you in? One, can I just say how much I love you for funnel hacking that? Like, I love that this is a question. This makes me so excited.
I think there's a lot of us cut from the same cloth of reading Russell's books too much. But now I can't, and I love my craft. I love marketing, and I'm like you, that I want to see inside of every single funnel. So I don't just buy anything anymore. I buy it with the intent of learning from it. So, but go.
So I'm going to give you some more like tactical answers, and then I'm going to go a little bit more on like the emotional psychology side of what we did. So tactical, for those of you that haven't been, like, literally go to designhacking.com/workshop, even if you don't want to join the workshop, and you can see what it is that Drew's talking about. So the page one is just, it's a glorified landing page, right? Where it's like, sign up for this, put in your name, email, we got you on our list, right? Done. And we'll be able to help you. Then you go to page 2 and it's like, hey, you've reserved, but you need to confirm your reservation. So we try to make it feel like they're not really in yet, right? And so then what you do again is you push a button and it takes you to a messenger bot where, again, like you said, you go through a sequence. So the tactical reason for that is a few. Number one is it allows us to just simply grow our lists on both realms, right?
Right.
We grow an email list, we grow a bot list. The other thing about that's good for that is that based on what it is that you're doing, you can use an email list or a bot list for different things. Email lists are amazing, and but they typically have a lower open rate, and they're for more like can be oftentimes for more longer form content, right? A messenger bot is quick, it's dirty. It's like, hey, we're going live right now, right? Like, here's the thing. And the open rates on those are insane. And I can't remember our numbers right now, but significantly more than that. And especially when it comes to the urgency aspect of it. So what we're doing on the back end, so as of now, we have about 2,000 people already signed up for this workshop. Hopefully we'll have a few thousand more. Which is awesome. And so what we're doing is we're really nurturing people on the back end with the emails, right? Where it's like, hey, listen, this is happening. Put it in your calendar. This is happening. Put it in your calendar. This is happening. There's why you want to show up.
Right.
The messenger bot, what it does is it will increase the amount of people that actually show up live for those that aren't as OCD as me and put it in their calendar, right? Where they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Because all of a sudden they'll get a hit and it'll be like, hey, we're going live right now. Come on. And so again, you get this huge flush of people that come in. And so it's almost like a double punch, right? Where it's like you get them once with the email to remind them, you're hitting them with stuff on organic, but then they get this individual message in their Facebook Messenger bot, right? In their Facebook DM that says, hey, listen, don't forget, it's happening right now. And all they have to do is click a link in there. Yes, and so for show up rates, it's phenomenal. Now, on the psychology side of it, what's awesome is when you make people choose twice to go into something, there's something that happens inside them. It's like, you want this? And they're like, wait, but you need to confirm. Okay. There's something that happens on the back end where they're like, wait, no, I actually do want to confirm. Yeah. Because it's really interesting to see, like, the amount of people that signed up on email is not the amount of number that is on our messenger bot. It's always a little bit lower. It's about a third lower.
Sure.
So 2/3 of the people are like, no, I really want to do this. And then we have this email sequence for that third that was like, and we're like, hey, you need to confirm, like, are you actually going to be there? Again, this psychology to get people to show up.
Yes.
Another thing that's really great about that is that people buy proximity more often than principles. People want, I think the bigger that you get, people just want access to you.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, and you look at this even with like a Russell Brunson, because we just talked about funnels, right? Like everything you need to know from him in his $100,000 inner circle is everything that you have in a $14 book. It's all the same. It's actually the same information. And I can say that as somebody who literally has paid that man hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
It's all the same. What you're buying is proximity. 100%. And so even something as simple as, wait, Kathryn's messaging me in my DM.
Right.
And even though they could probably figure out that that's a bot, for a second, it's like, oh, Kathryn's messaging me. For a second, it's like, oh, Drew's messaging me. And I know that because I've experienced that myself. Like, if all of a sudden it says Russell Brunson sent you a DM, even though I know it's a bot, I look at it.
That dopamine drip. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm even friends with Russell, like on Vox. Like, I have his number. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm even friends with him. So I'm like, oh my God, Russell sent me a message. You know? And so it becomes this double hit. On the psychological aspect where it's like, do you even, because I think there has to be some element, especially with something that's free. There has to be some level of buy-in.
Yes.
Some level of buy-in, because if not, it's like, well, it's free, whatever, I'll sign up and we'll see what happens, right?
No, that's
as many hits as you could do to make them raise their hand and say, no, I actually want to be there.
Right.
Like, that's actually what I want to do. That's what's happening on the psychology side of it. So tactical side, open rates and show up rates go through the roof when you have a messenger bot. On the psychology side, it increases that show up rate anyway because they've double opted in and to actually go there. So that's the tactic and the strategy behind that. And I think you learn, like, how did you learn that? We actually learned it from, he's amazing. And he actually has been consulting us a lot in this launch. His name's Josh Forty. He's amazing. If anybody like wants to put on a major launch, he did one for Steve Larson. He did one for Cashflow Tactics, but similar strategy. He was really the one that introduced us to it, where he was just like, I mean, you might as well, right? Like, hit them from every angle, get them in there. And I think that's another reason behind, like somebody's like, Kathryn, like, why are you doing 50? Like, you could be just fine doing 20 interviews, right? And it's like, it's too important for people to miss.
Yeah, that's
too important for people to miss. So it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to pay X amount of thousands of more dollars for this bot or to drive ads to this or whatever, because it's like, like, the stuff here is good. It's really, really good. So
absolutely.
So yeah, that's the strategy behind the bot.
Thank you for that. Because yes, this shows about tips, tools, and tactics, and a lot of, that's what I want to bring is the value to the audience to say, look, you're going to learn something every time you listen to this show. And so thank you so much, because you spoke a lot today about philosophy and tactical level stuff, and that's what people need to hear. So I got to let you move on to your next stop on the press tour. I imagine like this giant bus that just keeps moving down the road, but thank you. We're going to have to do a part 2, part 3 at some point, because I feel like you and I could probably geek out all day and talk about marketing.
Yeah. Days.
So thank you so much. I think the links, I will drop them in the show notes. But for everybody out there, again, it's design. Give us your URLs again so everybody can follow you.
Designhacking.com/workshop.
Wonderful. And yes, and check out everything Kathryn has to offer. The CF Design School is amazing, and all of the content is so much fun to follow. So Kathryn Jones, thank you so much again for being on the Marketing That Works podcast, and I will catch up with you next time.
Yes, you're amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys. We'll see you on Monday.